The Senate Judiciary Committee will vote tomorrow on the nomination of Senator Jeff Sessions to be the next U.S. Attorney General. Of course, the vote by committee to send Sessions' nomination to the full Senate was postponed last week after protest by the NAACP and others, as well as the massive anti-Trump, anti-Republican Women's March. Now, in just a few hours, civil rights and religious faith leaders will hold a rally on the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court to say they want to prevent Jeff Sessions from becoming the next Attorney General of the United States. Now, as the rally takes place in D.C., NAACP President Cornell Brooks and 5 other members of the organization will appear before a judge in Mobile, Alabama, to answer misdemeanor charges stemming from their arrest earlier this month, protesting Sessions' nomination as Attorney General at the senator's Mobile office. After their court appearance, Brooks and others will lead an anti-Sessions rally in Mobile. Joining me from D.C., Wade Henderson, President and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. Kristen Clarke with the Lawyers Committee is still with us as well as Lauren Victoria Burke. And joining us as well is attorney Monique Pressley, who's also with the National Bar Association, and they let their feelings be known as well about Sessions. Wade, I will start with you. Will Democrats have the nerve to vote against one of their own? We have seen some tough questioning, but frankly, we haven't seen a lot of momentum of Democrats in the Senate raising a ruckus over Sessions' nomination. Pretty much all of Trump's nominees seem to be sailing through.
Well, let me say, Roland, you're absolutely right about the need to have Democrats raise their voices. But this is one instance where collegiality will not be trumped by the substance of the nominee himself. Religious leaders and civil rights leaders will be on the Supreme Court steps this morning calling on Senator Chuck Grassley, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, to postpone tomorrow's vote and to, in fact, impanel another hearing examining Senator Sessions' role in the creation of the executive orders that President Trump signed on Friday. You know, the one issue that links the executive order banning refugees, the executive order talking about a rewrite of the Security Council, a National Security Council, and the proposed threat to go after so-called issues of voting fraud. The one link that ties all of them together is the role that Senator Sessions has played in the past. He has been a very staunch critic of the refugee program. He has attacked immigrants as representing a threat to our national security. Neither of those, in fact, in the way that he has framed them, have been true. And this effort to sabotage the democracy of our country by claiming a massive voter fraud in the last election is clearly and patently absurd. And so what we are seeing here is an effort to subvert American democracy as we know it, but the common link that makes all of that possible is the role that Senator Sessions has played. So we are asking the Senate Judiciary Committee to postpone tomorrow's vote, and we'll have to see what happens.
Kristen, to sit here and continue to listen to supporters of Senator Sessions assert that he has some stellar civil rights record is simply an abomination.
11 years ago today, Coretta Scott King died, January 30th, 2006. Her legacy looms heavy over this moment. When Jeff Sessions was last up for a nomination for a federal judgeship, she wrote a powerful and scathing 9-page letter urging the Senate to reject Jeff Sessions' nomination because of the vote fraud prosecutions that he pursued in Alabama that had a chilling effect on black voters and led nowhere. All of his investigations resulted in acquittals, but left a bitter and stinging legacy on black voters in rural parts of Alabama. I want us to take a moment to heed the words of Coretta Scott King. A bipartisan coalition of senators voted down his nomination back then, and I think that senators should have the courage to listen to her words and look at this unbroken unbroken record that has demonstrated consistent opposition on civil rights, not back in 1986, but every day up through this moment. He supported the Muslim ban in 2015. He is somebody who has shown that he can carry out this president's so-called executive order on vote fraud in the past. We need a champion of civil rights in the Justice Department right now. If there's anything that the last 10 days has shown us in this nation, is that we need somebody who will be a fierce leader, who will push back on efforts to unlawfully abuse executive power, and who will champion the rights of minority and vulnerable communities in our country.
Monique and Lauren.
You know what? If there's more than 40 Democrats that vote for Jeff Sessions tomorrow, the Democratic Party has a lot to explain, because so far they've done absolutely nothing. The activists are way ahead of this party right now. I don't care if anybody served with Jeff Sessions for 20 years or whatever. None of that matters. The same Stephen Miller that wrote this ridiculous executive order worked for Jeff Sessions and was writing ridiculous press releases in his late 20s on the Hill for years. And if you can't recognize the link between stupid and bad policy and vote against it on the Senate floor, I don't care if Chuck Schumer is crying at press conferences or whatever, he's got to come up with a plan of action against this administration. And it has to start with this nominee. There are 4 other nominees that are going to come up that they should be all voting against in the Democratic Party in the Senate. But this is the first one. And so if we get more than 40 people, then I want to see some advocacy against these members, because I'm not seeing any strategy from the Democrats. And this to me is the first fight that they need to at least try to win.
Right. I totally agree with everything everyone else has said. Look, this is why we have separation of powers. This is why we are a government that has checks and balances. The Trump train is a runaway. It's time to check this president and balance this madness. Who can do that? Congress, specifically the Senate. So it has to start now. It has to start with this nominee, but then it has to push forward from there. There is a way that a clear message can be sent from the legislative branch to the executive branch, the same way the courts are sending a message from the judicial branch to the executive branch. The message is, no, you won't. They can try to do whatever they want to do down there on Pennsylvania Avenue, but they do have others to answer for. I agree with Lauren. Look, the people in the streets are doing it right now, but we need the people right behind us at the Capitol to do what their constituents are telling them to do. The mandate right now is in the streets, and we need Congress to follow that mandate.
You know, Roland, the event.
Wade, what will happen today? Wade, are we going to see civil rights groups? Are they going to drop hundreds or thousands of people on Capitol Hill, going door to door? What is the strategy, the plan of action to put pressure on Congress not to confirm Senator Jeff Sessions?
Well, as Monique and Lauren have said, there's already been a mass mobilization of progressives and average Americans all across the country weighing in with their members of Congress not to move forward on the Sessions nomination. But recognize that the events of this past Friday were not known when Sessions' nomination was actually set for a vote today. His role in the Muslim ban, his role in the attack on refugees and refugee protection, and his role in encouraging President Trump to look at voter fraud as a massive problem when there is absolutely no concrete evidence to support that, raises new questions about the kind of role he will play as Attorney General. We're demanding that the Senate Judiciary Committee have a second hearing to examine these issues before the committee and the entire Senate votes. And we're insisting that our Democratic allies like Senator Schumer, like Senator Feinstein, who is the ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, weigh in. Now, let me make another point. Look, the Democrats don't have the votes on committee and don't have the votes in the Senate to necessarily stop the nomination of Jeff Sessions unless they go outside of the regular order. And what that means is that they've got to be willing to stand up, speak loudly, and make an affirmative case about why moving forward on this nomination represents a threat to our Constitution and to democracy as we know it. And that's what we're asking them to do. And if they do that, then we think we have a shot at actually stopping the nomination.
We know that they do not have the votes.
Yeah,
Everyone knows that.
Yes.
But they have some procedural things that they have not been using, okay, that they've been ignoring this entire time to fight back. And at least make an effort to make the statement that we're against something.
Absolutely.
They've done absolutely nothing. The activism is in the streets. It has not caught up with the Senate floor. We're not seeing anything on the Senate floor. And Chuck Schumer is in office in large part because of African-American votes. So if we want, we don't have to include the Muslim ban in this. We know who Jeff Sessions is. Everybody knows who Jeff Sessions is. So what are they waiting for is the question.
Eugene?
Yes, sir. As a small government conservative libertarian, I have some real issues with the Sessions nomination. But the political reality of it is that he's probably going to be confirmed. So I think looking forward, one thing that we do have Jeff Sessions on a record of saying during his confirmation hearing is that whatever the law is that Congress produces, he will uphold it. So I think moving forward, after this guy's confirmed.
You believe that?
Well, you know what? I put it this way. I believe in federalism, and I think if he doesn't uphold the law, then he should be held accountable.
But what law is he going to be upholding? That's what's critically important. The people in the street need to understand that this nominee is critically important to, I'm wearing my safety pin today. Look, they're safe with me, but are they safe with Sessions? I doubt it seriously. It's no accident that the top tier of the Justice Department was wiped out and then this executive order came out. Now we've got court battles all over the country, and Sessions is going to come in and he's going to put in his own people, and those people are going to be responsible for telling Justice Department lawyers to go in and fight things that, frankly, we all know they don't want to fight. This is a policy that goes directly against everything the Justice Department has been trying to do for the past 16, 24 years. So this is the nomination where Congress can take a stand.
And already we are seeing evidence that the Justice Department is turning the clock back on civil rights enforcement. They moved to delay hearings in the case involving a challenge to the Texas voter ID law. They moved to delay a case involving the newly minted consent decree that would put the Baltimore Police Department on a path to reform. Mr. Sessions is the wrong man for this job. Our democracy is broken. A constitutional crisis is looming. We need someone in there who is going to restore order, be a check on the president, and most importantly, champion the rights of vulnerable Americans across our country.
And Roland, Lauren is right that the Democrats do have some procedural cards that they can play that will delay the vote on Sessions and allow more time to build an ironclad record of his intent on violating certain rules and procedures that we know are established. We need to make that happen. I would also say to you that later this week, we're expecting a nomination for the U.S. Supreme Court from President Trump. Now, that will be used both to advance his goal.
It could happen today.
Well, one of the reasons it could happen today is because he's using it as a way of distracting from the events of this past weekend. But obviously, those of us who work the issues of Senator Sessions as well as the Supreme Court know that this is not something that we should welcome. And we're going to have to walk and chew gum simultaneously. It's possible to evaluate the Supreme Court as well as oppose Senator Sessions aggressively.
Kickstart your day at 7 and get the news you need from the perspective you want. News One Now with Roland Martin. Every weekday morning at 7 on TV One.